Phil Dixon with another edition of This Day in African American Baseball History. If you've never joined me before, what we do is I'll give you a fact, a historical fact that happened on this day pertaining to the Negro Leagues or African American baseball player who might be playing another sport as well. This time of year we get lots of football, get baseball guys playing football, and then of course we'll get baseball guys boxing, we'll get baseball guys doing everything from hockey to you just never know. But these are going to be African American players in history that you probably don't get very often, but history that you should. And of course, then I give a little commentary about something I might know about the player or the city, the game, or something like that. That comes from my more than 45 years of doing this history. So, guys, let's jump right in there tonight. I want to thank everybody for joining. I know it's a lot of activities going on at the World Series. I see over here also, I'm in Kansas City, so the Kansas City Chiefs are playing football. And so just a lot going on. But we're going to talk a little bit about baseball, and we're going to do this. So I won't prolong it. I'm going to jump right in there, okay? So thanks for joining, everyone. And in case you're picking this up later on, I've got a big movement right now where I'm trying to get to 300 subscribers by the end of this month. That's October 31st. So I just got a few days ago and about 40 away. So anything you can do to help me get there, certainly would appreciate that. We're going to make this happen. If you like this kind of dialogue, this kind of interaction, this kind of history, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell, and stay with me, all right? Okay, let's get right in there and go from here, okay? Here we go. This is October the 27th, 1912. And we have a Cyclone Joe Williams, also known as Smokey Joe Williams, of the Lincoln Giants, tossed a 4-hit game with 9 strikeouts to defeat Larry Doyle's big league club by a 6-0 score in a game at New York, that played at New York's Olympic Field, that was watched by 7,000 fans. All right. There's lots to break down in this game. And let's see, there was a guy named Josh DeBoer who was playing. They had lots of National American League players. So let me go name a few. Josh DeBoer, Hal Chase, he played with the Yankees, Louis Dirks, and Cy Seymour were the white professionals that were playing in this game. Now, what's interesting is, if you well know, if you were a professional athlete, that playing baseball in the Sabbath in New York was outlawed. So you might play the game and you might get away with it, and then again, depending on what the city felt, they might send the police down and get you arrested, and then you had to go to court the next day, that kind of thing. But in this particular game, they arrested all the white guys who came from the American and National League. They didn't arrest any of the black guys. So they arrested all the white guys, and they took them down, and they had to appear in the Harlem Police Court the next day. And so that was Inspector Sweeney, had his officers give summons to the players. So there was a cost for playing these games. Now, there's 7,000 folks in that park. And so these ball players, they wanted to play. And plus, they're going to pick up an extra payday because they're going to get a percentage of that gate. And I don't know what they were offered to come down there, but that's one of the reasons why the crowd was so large. 7,000 people are out there. And so after the game, they arrest the white guys. But Joe Williams tossed a shutout, 6-0. And once again, people ask me, they say, and by these games, there's lots of exhibition games like this that go on, and I talk about them quite often. Now, one other guy we're talking about quite a bit is Smokey Joe Williams. Man, he would come in. This guy would just mow down those American and National Leaguers. They knew him very well. Not surprising that he has been enshrined in Cooperstown Hall of Fame. He should have got there before some other guys even got there. Joe Williams was a legend without a question. He should have been featured on baseball cards long ago. So Joe Williams did that, and that was October 27, 1912. Let's go into another one. Let's see. October 27, 1928, in a big 14-0 win over Texas College. And this is some football action here. and Tyler, Texas. Quarterback Hally Harding made runs of 25 and 15 yards and kicked two after touchdown extra points in the Wiley College victory for Coach Fred Long. Fred Long is one of, okay, well, let me put it this way. When I was growing up and they were talking about the coaches who had the most victories of all time, college coaches. And one of the names that would pop up frequently was Fred Long. Now, somebody probably knows Eddie Robinson. At one time, he was the leader in that area. I had a chance to interview Eddie Robinson on a couple of occasions. But Fred Long was the head coach over at Wiley. And these guys would be head coaches for like 40, 45 years, just a long time. So anyway, this is just what's going on. And Hally Harding played shortstop for many teams, played for the Kansas City Monarchs in the 1930s. Actually, he played with them in 1930 when they had the winter, when they first introduced night baseball. He was with that team. And of course, later on, he went to Los Angeles. He became quite the boxing writer. He wrote a lot of sports, and he was really good in boxing. I have an unpublished boxing book, and I use a lot of Hally Harding's information. I see a guy named Jeffrey Gaming, Gaming. Hello there, Jeffrey. Jeffrey's Gaming. Not sure what that is, but yeah, I can say hello to you. So anyway, that's Hally Harding. I don't know how much you know about Hally Harding. Hally Harding played football. I don't think he played basketball, but he definitely played baseball very well in the Negro Leagues, and so ended up being a writer. And he attended several colleges. He not only played for Wiley, I want to think that he played for Wilberforce too. So, yep, that's Hally Harding. Another name you need to get familiar with if you're going to be following African American sports. Hally Harding. All right. Hally Harding, by the way, he was born in, I'm broadcasting from Kansas, and Hally Harding was born in Wichita, Kansas. And so he's a Kansan like myself. So, but he's a lot more famous than some Kansans I know. Kansans I know. All right then. Somebody joining me from New Zealand, man. Okay. Well, I guess you're gonna learn something a little bit about American sports and segregation and also integration. Because this next person, you probably heard of his name before. How about Jackie Robinson? How about this one? Now, remember I said this time of year, we get a lot of guys who play baseball who also play football. So we've already seen Hally Harding, a great quarterback, right? Okay, so we've got Jackie Robinson this time. October 27, 1938, Jackie Robinson runs a pair of touchdowns and threw a pass for a touchdown as the Pasadena College Bulldogs defeated the Compton JCs 20-7 before a crowd of 50,000 people at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California. Man, I've been to the Rose Bowl. Now, I'm from Kansas, but just so happens before they started the tournament play where they tried to pick a national champion, usually I think someone from the Pac-10 would play the top team in the Pacific Coast League. Anyway, I had a nephew who played for Utah, and Utah played in that last game before they started this tournament a few years ago, and he scored a touchdown. His name was Jalen Dixon. So that was my great nephew. So actually, not only did I get a chance to go to a Rose Bowl game, I got a chance to know someone who was in the Rose Bowl game and to also see them score a touchdown. So that's something I'm pretty proud of, see my great nephew do that. So, and when years ago when my great nephew was young, he used to be the bat boy for my baseball team. He was a pretty good baseball player too, but he decided to play football, and that's where he got his glory and got to the Rose Bowl, right? Rose Bowl hold 50,000 people. And so just imagine Jackie Robinson when he gets to the Brooklyn Dodgers and he's playing. Do you think this guy was intimidated by a crowd? I don't think so. This guy's playing before 50,000 people. This is 1938. This is 9 years before he ever gets to the Brooklyn Dodgers in 1947. Just imagine that. So that's a little bit of history. And I'm not going to do a lot of things tonight. Sometimes my broadcasts, they run to just doing a short one tonight. And so yesterday, when my broadcast was pretty long, about 25 minutes, And I had a trivia question. And my trivia question was this: can you name 3 players who broke their ankles or legs that were members of the 1909 Chicago Leland Giants? And I haven't had anybody answer that. I saw some people try to answer it who listened to the broadcast, and then they, when I posted it on my social media, Facebook and Twitter accounts, some of them tried to chime in after listening to it. But I'm going to give you the answer to that trivia question. All right. The answer is Clarence Winston. Clarence Winston was a speed demon. Prior to 1909, when he broke his leg, he never recovered that kind of speed before. Rube Foster, when he brought him from the Cuban ex-Giants to Chicago in 1907, he had visions because Nate Harris was on the team, another speed demon, and he had Winston, another guy just could hit that ball and could really scoot around the bases. So, but he was the one, and he broke his leg. And so also you had Rube Foster, who Rube Foster didn't actually break his leg. He had a hairline fracture, which put him on the sideline. So he didn't actually have I guess it's a break, but it wasn't a complete break. Winston had a compound fracture. So if you know what a compound fracture is, which means the bone was sticking out of the leg. So, all right. And then the last one was Joe Green in the exhibition series against the Chicago Cubs. I'm trying to think of the Cubs catcher. This was in the first game of the Leland Giants versus the Chicago Cubs. Now these black teams, they were playing these National League teams intact now, guys. So anyway, they were trying to pick Joe Green off the third, and as Joe Green went back to slide into the base, he broke his leg. And the ball went to the outfield because the catcher overthrew the third baseman, and Green tried to hop home on that one leg, and the relay throw got him at home plate, and he was out. But man, the fans showed so much respect for that guy because he tried to score with a broken leg, and he had to be carried from the field. And so anyway, Joe Green, and who was also a pretty fast baseball player prior to that, who never regained that glory. I've seen different players and heard about them. I didn't know them, but I heard their stories. One of them was a guy named Chili Mayweather, who played with the Kansas City Monarchs, 1937. He came up and he broke his leg in a town called Boley, Oklahoma. Now, if I know we had a person here from New Zealand. At some point, and especially, there were all black towns. Boley was an all black town. This was settled by African Americans, and it was an all black town. And the Kansas City Monarchs were playing there, and Mayweather, his real name was Eldridge Mayweather, but they called him, nickname was Chili Mayweather. He broke his leg sliding into a base, and once again, he never was the same. I know Willie Brown said that when his leg healed, it didn't heal correctly, and so he basically, you could see that he had broken his leg, and they didn't set it right, and so you see, his leg was not right after that. He eventually was replaced by John Buck O'Neill, who came to the Monarchs in 1938. Mayweather and him split duties as first base, and then Mayweather ended up being more of an outfielder than a first baseman. But that guy, Mayweather, was a sweet hitting guy. Willie Brown would like to say he had one of the sweetest swings, talking about Chili Mayweather, that you would ever want to see. So that's a little bit on him. Another guy who had a broken leg also was a guy named Dick Whitworth. Now, I would tell you this, Mayweather passed away in Kansas City. I did get a chance to interview his widow, and so she passed away in Kansas. She passed away in Kansas City, and he did too. And so I knew the widow very well, and he attended St. Stephen's Church. The church is still there, and the other person that attended that church was Hilton Smith. He was also a member of that St. Stephen's Baptist Church in Kansas City. They both attended there together. There was another guy who played around the turn of the century. If you follow Negro League play, his name was Tom Stearman. He played for the original Kansas City Monarchs, played for Jenkins Music by 1907. He also attended that church. And right around the corner, there was Centennial Methodist Church. That's where Bullet Rogan went. So when I do my research, actually, I go up, guys, I go and I dig as deeply as I can. And also, even when I was going and doing research and go traveling around the country, guys, there would be times that I would actually, if I was in town on a Sunday, I would go to church. I would go to church with the ball players. So gone to a lot of churches with ball players over the years. These are things that you do when you're serious about your craft. You don't just read it and sit down in the library or just sit at home. You can do that now and do research. You can do ancestry, and you can do that at home on your computer, and you can do newspapers online. Sit at home, guys. I always like boots on the ground. Use a military term, boots on the ground. And that's how I did my best research, was to get out of my house and go interview people, meet their families, see how they lived, and that's pretty good. Somebody saying the only black player I've heard of is Rod Carew. Guy, you need to subscribe right now, and you'll hear of a whole lot of people you've never heard of, but you'll hear some fascinating stories too. And the last story I'm going to give you is one of those fascinating stories. There was a guy, and he was originally from St. Louis. He ended up coming to my hometown, Kansas City, Kansas, and that's where he was raised. And his name was Richard Dick Whitworth, Whitworth, Whitworth. And he turned out to be a pretty good pitcher. He was one of Ruth Foster's best pitchers around 1916, 17, great pitcher. But I'm going to see what, this had to be like maybe 1921, 22. He was traveling with the team, and they had a flat tire. So he was getting out and helping them change the tire, and he got hit by a car and broke both his legs. And I do have pictures of Dick Whitworth later on. He never came back as being as great as he was, but he did continue to pitch well in the 1930s. His name was Richard Dick Whitworth. And of course, he ended up going back to St. Louis and passed away in St. Louis. And of course, I can tell you a lot about Richard Whitworth and his wife. They had gotten a divorce. His wife still lived in Kansas City. I know exactly where her house, that house no longer exists, that neighborhood no longer exists now. It's all new houses in that area. But yes, she was there. I went to her house many times. And she was an artist. And I kicked myself in the butt. How about this? For not picking up any of her art, because I used to see a lot of it around. Maybe I still may run into somebody who has one at her house, and maybe I'll see her name on it. Maybe I can get it for a deal, because they might not know the significance of her being the ball player's wife. So, guys, that does it for me tonight. I love giving this commentary. Things you won't read. You can't read this, guys. You won't find out where these ball players went to church, and you certainly don't know about Whitworth's wife being an artist and drawing portraits and stuff like that. You won't know about that unless you listen to my broadcast. And every night I have something that I'm digging out that is just amazing. So when you think you know and you think you've heard it all, get on this broadcast, guys, and I tell you, you will hear some interesting things. So I'm just finishing I'm getting ready to go, actually, I'm getting ready to go into my 46th year of being a historian. I started when I was 23, guys. A lot of things you can be doing when you were 23. And of course, I always worked a job, but the thing that for me was I just love baseball. And so I had the greatest gig job that you ever want to have. So I would leave work and I go right immediately and start doing baseball research, conducting my research, going out to people's homes and things like that. I'm going to do a few things on location. I saw Maurice Doolittle Young, who I interviewed many times. I see that they're, where he lived in an apartment complex, they're about to tear that down. So I might go out front and do an interview before they tear down and maybe tell some Doolittle Young stories. And that was Maurice Doolittle Young, who played for the 1927 Kansas City Monarchs. Guys, I actually knew these people, and I wasn't even 27, and this guy started in 27. So anyway, guys, it's been my pleasure tonight. I'm going to get out of here, but I'll be back tomorrow. And anything that maybe I'll bring another trivia question tomorrow, and we'll see what we can do and challenge your knowledge. But it's not going to be that easy stuff. It's going to be things that you have to dig a little bit finance. You're going to have read maybe a book or two. All right, guys? So thank you. Now, if you like what I'm doing, guys, go ahead and subscribe. I'm trying to get subscribers here. And the more subscribers, the more enjoyable it is, right? So, but I'm willing to work hard for my subscribers. And so, guys, that does it for me tonight. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you tomorrow with October 28th tomorrow, this day in African American baseball history. And man, I've got some good stuff, some really good history that occurred on the 28th of October. We're going to go right into the 31st, and hopefully, man, I only need about 40 subscribers, and hopefully I can get that 300. And if we get that 300, I'll ask a trivia question. I'll give a book away. I've written about 9 publications. All right. Okay. Thank you, guys. You have a nice day, and I look forward to seeing you again when I come back. Okay.